Hello, third grade. How are you today? Hope everyone is doing great. We are going to have a big lesson here about vocabulary. Vocabulary. Why is it important? Well, let me tell you. Vocabulary is a skill you need to improve on to become amazing readers, to become the amazing readers you are. And this week, we're going to start working on finding our levels. And that doesn't mean you're only stuck reading those leveled books. That just means we are finding just right books for you where you don't struggle with the vocabulary. And throughout the year, we are going to build on our vocabulary so you can level up. No matter what level you're on, there's always room to level up. And so that's going to be our big third grade goal, is to try to level up once we find out what our reading level is. And a way to level up and to be better readers, because you're already skilled readers, you just have to really, really give yourself some self-compassion and be easy on yourself. Reading is hard. And just because you don't know some words, and I'm going to use this word yet, that doesn't mean you will never know them. It takes time. You are third graders. Show some self-compassion. It's okay not to know everything yet. You have so many years to learn as much vocabulary as you can. Even grown-ups still work to improve their vocabulary every day. No one can memorize 1,500 words a year. So the best way to improve your vocabulary is to read. And not only read at a level that you're comfortable with. Your best fit books. Your best fit books are going to improve your vocabulary. No doubt. Without a doubt. And so we're going to talk about the vocabulary in our Magic Treehouse book this week. And we are going to make our vocabulary book. In third grade, we have a vocabulary spiral notebook. And it looks a little bit like something like this. If you already have a spiral notebook, you can label yours vocabulary. VOCABULARY. And this isn't just a vocabulary notebook. We're going to treat this more like a journal, rich and full of great words that are going to be used to improve our writing. Not only our writing, but our language. Remember, writing and language go hand in hand. You have to be able to say it and know it before you can write it, use it in your writing. So this is going to be our journal. If you don't have a spiral notebook when you come to school, please let me know, because I have one for you if you need one. But if you're at home and you have a spiral notebook that's practically empty, say you might have drawn in one, that's okay, just rip that page out and make this your vocabulary notebook. And like I said, if you don't have one of these, that's okay. You can use a piece of paper. So if you do not have a notebook yet and you want to wait until you come to school for me to give you one, go ahead and just get a piece of paper, and please do not lose it though. You need to keep a hold of this piece of paper if you're using a piece of paper and guard it with your life. Don't lose it, because when you get your vocabulary book, you're going to add it to your vocabulary book. Another thing is we're going to start on learning some words today, so that's why you need a piece of paper. If you don't have a book, like I said, that's okay. You need a piece of paper, but you need to guard it with your life, because that's something that you're going to add to your book when you get it. Now, all of my virtual students, you need to get a spiral notebook. I recommend you having a notebook. So going out and finding and getting yourself a notebook. But my in-person kids, I have notebooks for you here at school if you need them. All right, so today we're going to start a vocabulary notebook. But before we do, let's talk about vocabulary. We already said why it is important. It's important because it's going to make you better readers, writers, and speakers. It's going to make you better readers, writers, and speakers. That's what we want. So let's get started. We're going to talk about strategy to improve our vocabulary. We're going to add that onto our toolbox. In our toolbox, we have, just like in math, we learn a whole bunch of strategies to multiply. We are going to learn a whole bunch of strategies for reading. So if we ever get stuck, we don't feel lost. We know what strategy we can use. So this strategy is called it's actually called Be Word Aware. Be word aware. That's what we're going to call this strategy. You need to be word aware when you are reading. Don't just skip over unknown words. Be a detective. Be a curious reader. That's why we have our journal, because when we come to words that we are curious about, we're going to write them down in our journal, and we're going to try to figure out their meaning by looking it up maybe in a dictionary or using context clues to figure it out. That means clues around that word that are in our story. We're going to illustrate these words so we can become very familiar with them. But the first step to improving your vocabulary is to be word aware. That's it. So that means being aware that there are juicy words within the text that you're reading that you might need to take note of so you can remember it and use it. I had a teacher growing up, and I believe it was my 5th grade teacher, and I just absolutely loved her. And she told me that in my language, she would have like a word of the day, and she would put that word of the day up there. And she said, if you use this word 7 times today, it is yours forever. That stuck with me. So every time I learn a new word, even like it could be someone's name, I make sure I use it 7 times so it can stick with me. That's being word aware. So once you learn a word, we're not focused on whether or not we know how to spell it correctly. These are vocabulary words. We want to use it correctly. If we're using vocabulary correctly, then we are doing what we are supposed to do. So let's talk more about this strategy here. So in this strategy, you need to be word aware. That means you need to wake up your brain and notice the words around or within your text that are important. And we're going to identify some of those in our text today as we're reading. So you need to be a curious reader. That just means you need to want to know things. Want to know more. Curious readers become skilled readers. I'm going to make a little like thinking finger here. My character here is in deep thought. You need to be a curious thinker when you're reading. Be word aware. The thing you want to ask yourself in order to be word aware is ask as you read. Sir, the questions. Remember we worked on a questioning strategy and we said skilled readers ask themselves questions in order to stay engaged as they're reading. And then we talked about illustrations, how we can use the illustrations to stay engaged as we're reading. It's the same skill, except we are asking questions about words, those juicy, juicy words. So ask, do I know this word? Do I know this word? And some of you do this already. You use this skill already without even realizing it. I noticed that a lot of you already use this skill because when we were reading together in class, you would say out loud your questions about words. And we're going to talk about those words you had questions about here in a second. Then the next thing you need to ask yourself is, and these are bullet points, do I know how this word is being used? How is it being used? Meaning, what is happening in the story? Why did they put this word here? Is it setting the mood for what is happening? Can I use illustrations or the context around it to help me know how it's being used? And you need to say to yourself, and this is the most important thing about the strategy, you need to say to yourself, I'm going to put that one up here. You need to say, let me figure it out. Be a word detective. Be word aware. Figure words out. It's fun. It's fun to figure out new words. Nobody wants to be boring and stuck using the same vocabulary their whole life. Think about it. You don't use the same vocabulary you used when you were in kindergarten. You don't talk like a kindergartner. You talk like a third grader now. That's because your vocabulary improved. Well, that doesn't stop. That carries on your whole life. Like I said, even adults work to improve their vocabulary. So it's a lifelong skill. It's lifelong. I'll write that on here. It's lifelong. We want to be lifelong readers. We want to be lifelong word detectives. This doesn't just end here. It doesn't just start and end in third grade. So let's go over this strategy one more time. Before you can stop to use the word, you have to make sure you are aware of what it means, okay? So you might want to jot it down in your journal, right? But the first thing you have to do is ask yourself, do I know this word? And do I know how this word is being used and why this word is being used? You might need to search for that answer in the story you're reading or in the nonfiction text you're reading. And then you need to say, let me figure it out. not just going to skip over that word. You're going to be a word detective. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to find out what this word is so I can better understand what I'm reading and improve my vocabulary. So we're going to work on that today. We're going to work on that today when we read chapter 7 and chapter 8 in our Magic Tree House #1 Dinosaurs for 4 Dark novel. And we're going to add some words to our vocabulary journal, aka notebook, that we think are very important. So we're going to start with looking at some words in the chapters we have already read before I read to you chapters 7 and 8. More like as you read with me, because that's what third graders do. You read along with me. So if you haven't already, go ahead and get your Magic Tree House book out. And we're going to look for the word medallion. We're going to look for the word medallion. And that word was found on page, well, it was actually found in chapter 5, Gold in the Grass. That's a hint as to what a medallion is. Gold in the grass. And at the end of chapter 5, Jack finds a medallion. And a lot of you in class, when we read this chapter, you said, what is a medallion? What is that? So we're going to write the word medallion in our vocabulary journal. It's going to be our first word. We're going to write medallion. And then we're going to read through this, and we're going to try to find out what medallion means. So the author did a great job adding this illustration here, even showing you what a medallion might be. And it also used other words like glittering in the tall grass. The medallion was glittering, and it was gold. And it was engraved. That means something was engraved into it. It was the fancy M. It was imprinted almost on it. So I want you to pause this video, and I want you to get together your vocabulary notebook. And when you have it together, or that piece of paper, and when you have that together, I want you to unpause the video and join back in. That's what you're going to do now. You're going to get set up to talk about the word medallion. And we're going to figure out what it means together. So like I said before, I want you to get out your novel, if you haven't already. I want you to get a vocabulary notebook. I want you to make sure you find chapter 5. Chapter 5 was called Gold in the Grass, which is hint, hint about our word medallion. And I want you to turn to page 29, because that's where Jack found the medallion. And then I want you to reread chapter 29 and 30. Just reread it to get a better idea of what you think a medallion is. All right. So you should have done all those things that I asked you to do. We're going to add the word medallion to our notebook. And I'm going to try to write really, really big. I'm going to write really, really big, but you don't have to write this big. Just know I am writing really big because I want you to be able to see it on this video. But you do not need to write this big. You can write on just the single lines here. I am going to write probably on 2 lines just so it's big enough for everyone to see. So if you're having trouble seeing how I spell medallion, just know it is on page 29, and we're actually going to write that. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to put new words, and this is going to be our list of words. This page is just going to be a list of words. We're going to make our first word medallion. Remember, like I said, you do not have to write this big. I'm writing this big. And another thing, if you can't see this or you need to pause this video at any time, make sure you do that. And also, if you need to see the word yourself in the book, it's on page 29, medallion. I'm going to go ahead and write that, medallion, medallion. All right. Now, what does this mean? We just added it to our list. What does this word mean? So this is going to be our list. And on the page after it, you're going to write pictures. All right, pictures. So on the first page, we have our new words. And we're just going to keep adding to them. Then here, on the next page, we're going to write pictures. Going back to the first page, we're going to write what page number we found this vocabulary word in. We found this on page 29, the Magic Tree House. So we're going to write that here. PG is short for page. It's an abbreviation for page. Then I'm also going to write definition right below this. I'm going to write definition right below this. So that goes D-E-I, definition. Definition. And I'm going to put a semicolon here too. This is where I'm going to write what the word means. Now this is what I want you to do today. I want you to define what a medallion is, okay? You are going to, you can use a dictionary, you could go online to find out what a medallion is. I want a good definition. That's what you're going to do first. What is the definition of a medallion? And you can write the definition in your own words, or you can copy from the dictionary. That is up to you. But I am going to end this video so I can give you a chance to be a word detective, to be word aware, and to go out and say, let me figure it out, okay? Because I want you to be independent. And so I'm going to put a link of an online dictionary where you can type in the word medallion. And you're going to write the definition here. Then I want you to use it in a sentence. So you can write the definition. Then I want you, after you write the definition, to use the word in a sentence. All right? So you are going to write medallion on page 29. You're going to look up using the dictionary link I'm going to give you. You're going to type in medallion, and you're going to figure it out. And you're also going to use clues from your text to come up with the definition. This is our very first word in our word journal, our vocabulary journal. And because we love journals so much, we can decorate them as well. Journals don't have to be all dull and boring. You can decorate your journal. That's fine with me. I like to add lots of color to my pages. So get creative. Words are fun. Medallion, page 29. Find the definition, use it in a sentence. Then, after you do that part, you're going to come over here to pictures. And you don't have to use this whole page. You can use a small portion of your page, because I think we're going to be able to add, because in your book, you're going to have a front and a back page. Because I used marker, I only have this front page. But we're going to add more words. You're going to add words down here and on the back of that page. And here's where we're going to have the pictures. So I don't want you to fill this whole page with a picture of a medallion. You can make it kind of small. I mean, it's not hard to draw the medallion. As you can see on page 29, it's fairly round. And you can even put that engraved M in it if you want. So here, you are going to label it. So make sure you're using this illustration to get a good look at what a medallion is. You might even want to go further than that and look online to see real medallions, real life medallions. Now that would really be word aware, trying to figure it out, get those visuals. Oh, we love visuals. So what you're going to do is you're going to label, you're going to say medallion. And I am going to write this one small because I really don't want you to use this whole page for your pictures. So we're going to put multiple words on this with pictures. And then don't judge me for my picture, but I am going to use some color here. But this might be a little too simple. You might want to do something a lot better than this. Instead it was glittering, I might add. Now it looks like a sun. So I drew a medallion. And I labeled it too. Notice how I did not take up the whole page. Do not take up the whole page. So I added medallion in my pictures. Alrighty then. Let's get to work.